All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, September 13th. We have a full MLB slate to jump into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every game. I'm going to cover them. I'm going to give you my lean or leans on the games, but all of my final plays, if you do want to fade me, all of those plays will be in the pinned comment. So make sure to keep an eye on that. We're coming off a nice little 3-1 night. We'll take it. Doesn't feel as good as the 2 nights ago sweep, but we'll still take the 3-1 night. The White Sox in their game 1 of the doubleheader cash for us, as do the Braves and the Rangers. The Braves had to go into extras, but they still cash. They blew a huge lead, so good thing that we sweated that one out. And then the Diamondbacks being the only team that does not come through for us, but all good. We will take the 3-1 night. Guys, before we do jump into the video, I want to talk to you guys about Outlier, my favorite sports betting research tool, especially when it comes to player props. Outlier is absolutely goated. You can see them on the player prop screen right now on Outlier. And if these are all too juicy for you, you can even set your minimum odds. We'll go like -135 for simplistic purposes. And you can see all of the hit rates for these players on the lines that they're offered. So Matt Olson here, you could see what they have in terms of lines. We can click in. You can see he's done this in 5 straight games, in 10 straight games, in 20. He's done it in 15 of his last 20 on the season. You can see what he's done. And you can even look at how he bats against left-handed pitcher, like he's going up against today, and even to the point of a pitching breakdown by all of the pitchers that pitcher throws. It really is a cool platform, guys. Make sure to go check it out. You can use the link in the pinned comment, and I got you 7 days free with that link. Go ahead and sign up for Outlier today, even if it is just for the free trial. Well worth it. I'm telling you guys, I'm on this thing every single day. Now let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 of today's video. We're looking at Minnesota taking on Tampa Bay. Minnesota pulls out the 3-2 win yesterday, and I think things flip back in Tampa Bay's favor here. They've won 7 of their last 10. One of those losses being, yesterday's game. They have Taj Bradley on the mound, who I think is waiting for a good start. He's kind of been on the ropes. The only good start you could consider in his last 5 was probably 2 starts ago against Cleveland. 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, but he kind of got knocked around against Seattle last time out, whereas Dallas Keuchel's on the mound for Minnesota. His stats look okay, but that dude is just like 1 inning away from almost blowing a game type of thing. So I really don't want to trust Keuchel. The only thing and credence I would give to anyone on Minnesota today is they're playing good baseball too, and Tampa Bay has been struggling against left-handed pitchers. Dallas Keuchel is a left-handed pitcher, but I do think Tampa Bay is kind of a new Tampa Bay team in their last, 2 weeks or so. So I'm trusting Tampa Bay here on the money line at -130. In terms of what we're looking at for a total, you can actually get that at -125 on Caesars. But in terms of what we're looking at in total, we're sitting at 9 right now. I don't hate the over. Both of these pitchers, it's not really like Minnesota or Tampa Bay is trotting out their best stuff. Dallas Keuchel has the big name. Taj Bradley played well earlier in the year, but both of these pitchers definitely can succumb to their own mistakes, right? And let up a bunch of runs. So I'm going to lean towards the over 9 runs in this. We saw a 7-4 game in game number 1 of this series that Tampa Bay won. And then yesterday's game was a low-scoring game, but with Lytle and Ryan on the mound, a little bit, 2 better pitchers. So I am going to go ahead and lean towards the over as well. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we ultimately end up rolling with that. All right, Colorado taking on the Cubs here. Colorado gets the win yesterday. They win that one 6-4, another under hit, and we're jumping right back to it, guys. That is going to be the spot that we lean, the under 12.5. This total has gone up since the last 2 days. It's gone 11.5, 12, now 12.5, and already my point in theory has been proven. At least 2 out of the 3 games here, the under is going to hit. I really don't see why no one's really catching on to that. This Rocky, people are catching on to it, but the bookmakers still put it at that 11 number. This is a type of a team that when they're playing at home, even with the elevation and whatnot, I still think that these totals should be right around 10.5, maybe 11 the most. But yeah, we'll keep cashing the unders. I'm leaning towards the under 12.5 in this one. I also don't mind the Cubs on the money line. I think they pulled 2 out of 3 in this series. Tyon on the mound for them today. Not really that I love him, but he does have a 2.4 ERA over his last 5. Really good outing last time against Arizona. Maybe he kind of parlays that into pitching well here. And again, these Colorado bats, it's not like I'm afraid of them whatsoever. They're batting .232 against righties in their last 10, whereas Cubs smacking lefties. Ty Block on the mound for the Rockies today. And in terms of their last 10 here, Chicago, 356 average against lefties, 8.3 runs per 9 with a 367 on base percentage. You don't make that type of stuff up. So give me the Cubs on the money line as well as the under. All right, San Francisco taking on Cleveland. They've split this so far. San Francisco wins game number 1 of this series 5-4. Then Cleveland bounces back yesterday with a 3-1 win. The total sitting at 8.5. We've seen 2 low-ish scoring games. I think I do lean towards the under right away in this game. And I'm also going to take a peek at Cleveland. I think that they have the better pitcher on the mound if you compare the two. You have Logan Allen going for them. He's got a 2.4 ERA over his last 5 here, going up against Kyle Harrison, obviously the young kid, who only has 4 starts this year, 2.75 ERA. He's been okay, but he's definitely been batted around a little bit. His hit counts are 5 hits through 3 1/3. Decent one here, 3 hits through 6 1/3, and then 6 hits through 5 2/3, and then 5 hits through 5 innings pitched. And he's let up a bunch of home runs. Through 4 games, he's let up 6 home runs. So I do think, he's still got some things to work on being a young pitcher. I'll take the more experienced Logan Allen coming from the left side there. And I'll also trust, I'll trust the Cleveland bullpen. Not that they're anything really to brag about, but their available bullpen today is sitting at 3.72 ERA with 1.28 WHIP compared to the 4.11 ERA of the available bullpen for the Giants. So give me Cleveland on the money. And like I said, I kind of lean towards the under here, but the pitching doesn't get me going. In terms of that, I just don't think that these bats are going to be all that hot. All right, guys, before we continue on, I want to shout out the Fade Me brand. I'm rocking the Fade Me Athletics tee today. It doesn't say XXL. It says WWL because, if you're winning 66% of your bets, we will take it. But, if you guys do want to check it out, we have a ton of new products just like the Hang On to Summer here with the Fadecation collection. We also have a bunch of new hoodies out there. So whether you're looking to, soak in, go on vacation, squeeze the juice out of summer and pick up some of these button-up fun party shirts, or if you're looking to, get ready for football season, get ready for fall, you could check out some of the latest hoodies that we have dropped. We have a bunch of new styles coming on the way as well. And like I always tell you guys, this is pretty much the #1 way you can show your support. So if you do want to pick up some Fade Me gear, use the link in my description here. You get a 10% discount if you use the code FADE, but go to fademe.store, guys. Again, huge way to support it. And if you feel like, you're part of the Fade Squad, you're watching all the videos, it's time to pick up a shirt, right? Join the movement here. We are growing this. We're almost at 30,000 subscribers. Literally can't thank you guys enough for that. And you guys kind of keep us afloat here. And if you want to, to support us making better content, more content, go cop some merch. This brand is not going anywhere. You might as well push that elevator button and get in on the ground floor. But let's go ahead and get back to the slate. Again, that's fademe.store. All right, Seattle taking on the Angels here. Seattle wins 8-0 last night. They're still banned, but Julio Rodriguez is an absolute stud. They have a series against the Dodgers coming up right after this one. They are going to be at home here. We don't have a line for this one because the Angels haven't announced who they have on the mound today, but Luis Castillo's on the mound for Seattle. So if they weren't banned, I'd be leaning towards Seattle, but I can't pull the trigger on them. They haven't proved anything to me yet. If you're new and you don't know what I'm talking about, we pretty much were making bank betting on Seattle when they went on their hits or win streak, right? And then I just did it way too long. I think they lost like 5 or 6 games in a row for us. So they accounted during that, week span, a -6 unit stretch, which is just bonkers, okay? I should have learned my lesson earlier, but I did not. So I banned Seattle. But we'll keep an eye on the pin comment, right? If we do have anything rolling in this game once we do get odds and a line. All right, next up, Pittsburgh taking on Washington. I will say we don't know who's pitching for either team here. We do have odds that have come out, -135 on the money line right now over on FanDuel for Pittsburgh. You can also get a better line, -125 over on DraftKings for Washington, +114 over on FanDuel. Total sitting at 8.5. I really don't love this matchup to begin with. And we don't know the pitcher, so I am just going to blow through it here. I think that Pittsburgh probably ends up pulling this one out. I'm going to trust whoever they do have going. I believe Mitch Keller's pitching tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, so we know it's not going to be him. But nonetheless, give me Pittsburgh here on the money line. But I don't think that makes its way into a final play, especially without us knowing who is on the mound. All right, Baltimore taking on St. Louis. St. Louis pulls one out yesterday. Baltimore's now lost 2 of their last 3. Do I think that really matters for them? No. But I always talk to you guys about progression and regression. if they lose another one, 3 of their last 4, that could be sort of the first step in a negative trend here, which is not coming at a good time for them. But I'm still giving them another chance today. They are going up against Drew Rom of the St. Louis Cardinals, who hasn't looked all that great. Pitches, 4 innings for you. We'll let up 3 to 4 runs. Going up against Kyle Gibson, who's had a rough stretch of it as well. But I'm going to trust him on the season compared to Drew Rom here. Drew Rom on the season average of ERA 7.79 with a 2.02 whip. Kyle Gibson's had his struggles. He's got a 5.12 ERA with a 1.34 whip, but it's like the lesser of two evils here. Give me the better team and, dare I say, the better pitcher in this one on the Baltimore Orioles on the money line. In terms of the total, we're looking at 10.5. That seems a little bit too high for me, but with these pitchers, I think I'm going to fade myself and lean towards the over. It does seem high, but these pitchers can let up a boatload of runs, so give me the over 10.5 in this spot. And again, the odds that we're getting for Baltimore are actually a little bit better than we have on the graphic here. Minus 168 over on FanDuel for the money line. All right, Phillies taking on Atlanta here. Phillies plus 158 on the money line. Atlanta sitting at minus 176 right now. Phillies almost win that game yesterday. They have lost 2 of the 3 here. We have Spencer Strider going up against Christopher Sanchez. Sanchez has a 1.8 ERA over his last 5. A really good start against Miami last time out. 5 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, only 16 pitches per inning. Spencer Strider had a tough night against St. Louis. 2 2/3 pitch, 6 earned runs, 1 home run, let up almost 25 pitches per inning. I have a feeling he's got to bounce back, right? Like, Spencer Strider is better than this. The thing is, Atlanta minus 176 on the money line is a little bit too much juice. So I think that I'm going to kind of chalk this one away. I wish it was Atlanta. I would like to play them, but it's too much juice for me to consider here. Total sitting at 8.5. I don't care who's on the mound. I do think that these offenses are batting really, really well, especially in this series, but even prior to. So I don't care that there are 2 good pitchers on the mound. Give me the over 8.5. That's going to be my main lean in the game, and we'll see if I can stomach the idea of paying 176 for a Braves team that's playing a good Phillies team right now. I don't think there's much value in that, but I do think the Braves win this game, but the Phillies could. So if you are on the Phillies today and you like the value at plus 158, I do think that could be worth a flyer. You're just not going to catch me doing it. So keep an eye on the pinned comment, see what we roll within this game, but I am heavily leaning towards the over 8.5 as of right now. And I guess just to give you context before we do move on to the next game, I want to admit that the Braves hit lefties a little bit, or I should say a lot worse than they do righties, so that is worth noting. But some stats are going to be skewed within their last 10 and everything like that. So I still think that they can put bats on balls today and score runs, but I don't want you guys going to the stat sheets and being like, oh, the Braves don't hit lefties well. We know that, but they can pretty much hit anyone well when you really look at it from a larger sample size than of just as of late. All right, Eduardo Rodriguez and the Cubs. The Tigers take on the Reds here. Connor Phillips getting the start for the Reds. He has 1 start, 4 2/3, 5 earned runs on 6 hits, 2 home runs let up. That was against the Seattle Mariners just about a week ago or so. Of course, the Seattle Mariners, the team that we fade, go off against him. In their last 10 here, Cincinnati batting really, really well against lefties. 289 average, 6.3 runs per 9, whereas the Tigers kind of middle of the road. 241 against righties in their last 10, 3.6 runs per 9 with an on-base percentage of 312. I do like Erod, but I think there's too much juice you're paying with minus 145 right now. So I'm going to flip it. I'm going to lean towards Cincinnati, but the fact that Erod's on the mound, I do really like him, and I think that may keep me off of this game altogether. We don't need to force anything today. We've had an immaculate stretch, right? 7-1 in our last 8 plays. We don't need to force a bunch of plays just because we think we're hot. Remember, it's sports betting, right? So I'm going to lean towards Cincinnati because I do think there's value at them at plus 125 over on MGM right now. And the way they're batting lefties, I just don't necessarily know if Erod is going to, let up a bunch of runs. I feel like he's a pretty solid pitcher here. Total sitting at 8.5. I'm going to lean towards the under so slightly. I do think that, this is a spot in which we've seen a 6-5 game in game 1 here. But this one, these two teams can kind of come back down to reality and go back to, scoring maybe 3-4 runs each, which would keep us underneath that average or that total. All right, guys, if you're still watching, drop a 14 in the comments. Let me know that you are still watching, that you're an OG, that you're a real one and not just a guppy that, watches for the first 2 seconds of the video and then tunes it out because they hate the sound of my annoying voice. If you're a real one, drop a 1-4 in the comments because we did make it to the 14-minute mark here. We're looking at Toronto taking on Texas, and I like Texas in this spot, but they've won both games so far in this series. I believe it's a 4-game series. Don't quote me on that. But do they win 3 in a row? They have looked a lot better. I'm going to lean towards them. I don't think you could pass the value up of plus 105 for the Rangers right here. They have Jordan Montgomery on the mound. He's been not great, but meh, since joining the Texas team here. His last couple starts have not looked great, but he's going against Yusei Kikichi here, who has looked good, but not necessarily against the Rangers in the past. Now, we're talking about a few years ago, but the Rangers have tagged him up a little bit. In terms of what we're looking at from the offensive perspective, you'd also say that Toronto's batting better than Texas, which worries me a little bit, but this Texas team, I feel like, is just starting to find their stride, right? So their last 10, anything like that, isn't going to be a real great depiction of it. Rather, their last 5, I think, paints the story a little bit better, in which they are batting lefties better than Toronto's batting lefties. Both of these teams are, throwing a lefty today. So give me Texas. We're getting a little greedy. We've hit them 2 nights in a row. Maybe we don't pull the trigger on them today, but I just can't really rationalize the idea of taking a Toronto team minus 120 right now when, you're looking at a Texas team that stomped them twice. So give me Texas. I'll also take a peek at the over 8.5. If there's one thing I want from this game, it's runs, because I think that's the type of game that Texas ends up winning. We've seen that 3 times in their last, 4 games here, and then twice so far in this series. All right, Mets taking on the Diamondbacks here. Diamondbacks have Zach Gallen on the mound, Joey Lucchesi on the mound for the Mets. We have to imagine that the Diamondbacks bounce back from a loss against the Mets yesterday, right? We pulled the trigger on them 2 nights in a row. They cashed for us 2 nights ago for plus money. Last night they drop it. Now they have their best pitcher on the mound. They are favored at minus 142, but I don't think that that's too much juice to take. I don't trust this Mets offense. Yes, they put up 7 runs last night, but I really do not trust them all that much. Gallen's had some success against the Mets as well in the past. Last 3 starts against them. Now we're dating ourselves going back to last year, but last 3 starts against them only letting up 2 runs. So he has pitched well against them, and their bats against righties here in terms of the Mets just have not looked all that great. In their last 5, they're only batting .208 against righties with a .293 on base percentage. So though I think the Diamondbacks could also struggle offensively, so we're going to take a peek at the under 8.5. I do think the Diamondbacks edge out the Mets in this one on the back of Zach Gallen. So give me the Diamondbacks money line as well as the under 8.5. Okay, Houston taking on Oakland. We got a couple comments. I wish I had the usernames. I apologize for that. Couple comments in yesterday's video. People being like, I'm still riding with Oakland, and they win again. They've now cashed enough to pretty much be profitable if you're a $100 better on their money line. In their last 2 games, they've cashed enough to be profitable over that stretch. They cashed as a plus 250 favorite in game number 1, and then a near plus 300 or underdog, and then a near plus 300 underdog in game number 2 here. You got to imagine Houston wins one of these, right? But that's what I said yesterday. So Houston on the money line in some sort of parlay, but I'm sure as hell not considering them on the run line or anything like that. In fact, the way Oakland's playing may make me just punt this game away and not even think about it and almost root for Oakland from a fan perspective rather than a sports betting perspective. So that's probably what we'll end up doing. Screw my Houston on the money line in a parlay. We're chalking that one, all right? Fade it. We're looking at Oakland on the money line. Definitely not making its way into a final play, but we can sure as hell root for it in this dumb brain over here. In terms of a total, we're looking at 9 runs right now. We've seen a 4-0 game and then a 6-2 game. I do think that at some point, Houston has to score a decent amount of runs. They were scoring a boatload of runs heading into the series, and then, they just have been shut down by Miller and Sears, which is just absolutely absurd. Now they have big old bad Pete Blackburn on the mound against them today as he takes on Hunter Brown. You got to imagine this game at least has some runs in it, whether it's Oakland continuing to do their thing or Houston kind of bouncing back. I'm going to lean towards the over 9 as a legitimate lean, but non-legitimate lean, Oakland money line all day long. All right, Red Sox, Yankees. Yankees pull out both of the games yesterday in terms of wins. The under cashed in both of those as well. On the mound today for the Yankees going to be Clark Schmidt. He struggled. He's been inconsistent, I should say, as of late. 3.4 ERA over his last 5 here. The team is 1-4 in his starts. Going up against Tanner Houck, 2.8 ERA in his last 5. But if you look at it from a last 3 perspective, it really doesn't look that great. He's got a 14, that's James Paxton. Ricochet shot to him there, but he's got a 6.3 ERA in his last 3 with a 1.74 whip in his last 3. So Tanner Houck just has not really been looking all that good. But that being said, I do think that, this is a type of a series where the Red Sox take at least one of these first three. I think it's a 4-game series, but they take one of the first three against the Yankees. So I'm going to lean towards the Red Sox on the money line. I'm going to continue the trend with the under here. We're looking at 10. I do think that, you know, these bats, both of these teams have been struggling in a way. In their last 10 here, the Yankees batting 187 against righties. And if they're going to win the game, you know, by Vegas's standards, or at least where the money is, then, you know, that doesn't mean the Red Sox are going to score a lot of runs. So give me the under in this one as well. I probably like that more than I do Red Sox on the money line. All right, guys, before the final 3 games, I do have one last thing to talk to you guys about, and it is Sleeper, my favorite pick'em app as of right now. If you don't know what it is, I highly encourage you guys to go check it out. It's a lot of fun. It really is. Each and every pick that you have on there, and essentially what it is, I'll tell you, you pick 2 to 8 player props, pair them in a slip together, and obviously the more that you put together and the more you hit, the more money you win. Each and every pick has its own multiplier, so it doesn't follow the normal structured payouts like Prize Picks does, where 2 for 2 is 3 times, yada, 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 right? No, Sleeper, you can win up to 100 times over there. And if you use my link in the pinned comment, you'll get 100% of your first deposit matched. If you follow me on TikTok or on Instagram, you see that I'm posting Sleeper slips all of the time because it really is that much fun. So go download it, use code GUYBOSTON, or just use the link in the pinned comment, guys. Get 100% of your first deposit matched. Now let's go ahead and get back to the slate. All right, Milwaukee taking on Miami. Milwaukee has pulled out both wins 2 different ways so far in this series. I think that Miami bounces back today. They have Braxton Garrett on the mound going up against Trevor McGill, brother of Tyler, but we don't have much to go off of for him. So I'm going to trust Braxton Garrett, who has pitched well as of late. 1.6 ERA over his last 5 year. It is last 3. He's also looked okay. 2.87 ERA with a 1.09 whip. We'll take them on the money line. In terms of what you're getting, minus 110 odds, it's pretty much a pick-em game today. And then in terms of the total, I'm going to lean towards the under. I do think that, you know, that 12-0 game looks like an over, which it was, but only one team came to play. Yesterday, both teams kind of, I hate saying it, but came to play, and it finished at 3-1. I think that these are 2 teams where the bats aren't necessarily going to explode today. Who knows what we're going to get from McGill, but yeah, I do think that, you know, though the Brewers have batted lefties really, really well as of late, I am going to kind of fade that away and look at it and say, you know what? Some of those outlier games, like game 1 of the series, I'm willing to toss out. Give me the under in this game, and I'm trusting Garrett on the mound for Miami in terms of money line play. Well, we did it. We took a play in this series and won it yesterday. It was game number 1 of the White Sox Kansas City here doubleheader. That one cashed. They win that one 6-2, and then they lose again just in dramatic fashion in game number 2. But we didn't have a play on that game. So in today's game, don't really have much here. Don't know squat about Steven Cruz, the pitcher for Kansas City, and I don't like Mike Clevenger for the White Sox. So we're going to go back to an old line that I dropped a couple of videos ago, but screw it. Give me some runs. Give me some good baseball, some runs. We'll take the over 8 in this spot, but I doubt that becomes a final play. A couple high-scoring games in this one. We have the Dodgers winning 11-2 yesterday. San Diego winning 11-8 the day prior. Now on the mound, we have Ryan Papoy going up against Blake Snell. Dodgers still favored in this one, but I do think with Blake Snell on the mound, it may be worth looking at the Padres. So I'm going to lean towards the over just to kind of safety net. If Blake Snell doesn't have a great night, that means the Dodgers continue to do what they do. But yeah, I think Blake Snell kind of changes things here. He's got a 1.4 ERA over his last 5. He's got a 0.95 ERA over his last 3 with a 1.16 whip. And you're getting plus money for the Dodgers. So though I kind of don't love the Dodgers outside of Blake Snell in this spot, they did win game number 1, so maybe it gives them a little juice here. They do have the better pitcher. I don't think they have the better offense, but I'll trust Blake Snell. The guy's been pitching his hog off. I'll take them on the money line in terms of a lean. And like I said, the over, even if he pitches well, I do think the Padres have a chance of turning to the bullpen, in which it has struggled as of late. Last 3, 7.34 ERA with a 1.55 whip. That's where the Dodgers could get them and put up some runs. So Padres on the money line as well as the over 8.5. And that's going to wrap for today's video, guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. All right, peace out.